Alright, back in December, ArenaNet already confirmed they were working on 2 new expansions, with the next one expected sometime after summer. They also have a tendency of leaking things, either through someone forgetting to set a video to private on YouTube, or other creators leaking what they got to see during exclusive events. This time, however, the leak is of a whole other magnitude, because the website of the next expansion is already online. Mind you, not all links seem to be working, but we do get a ton of information from the current pages. The new expansion apparently has us exploring the unending ocean, which might just mean that we finally get a rework of underwater combat. Whether the expansion will be truly underwater remains to be seen though, because we thought the same when End of Dragons was teased and they showed us a trailer of the Leviathan and fishing. But things kinda fell flat after that. With Secrets of the Obscure, however, ArenaNet has shown their willingness to reuse models and mechanics. So maybe some things that were originally planned for End of Dragons might just be introduced now. What also seems to confirm this is that we're getting 3 new legendary underwater weapons. Currently only have the Generation 1 versions, as none were ever introduced after that. And I personally hope we finally get a legendary Aqua Breather, as that is literally the only slot that doesn't have a legendary version, which kinda triggers my OCD. The second reason I'm not entirely sure it will be a true underwater expansion is because of the synopsis under the preview video, which sadly leads to a dead YouTube link right now. The summary mentions navigating the perilous waves of the ocean, exploring long-forgotten island chains and ancient ruins, which to me sounds more like land-based content than underwater, except for the ruins maybe. If we take a look at another popular MMO for a second, there is a feature I hope ArenaNet is willing to copy. Final Fantasy XIV not only has their own version of fishing, but they also have ocean fishing expeditions, which could introduce a unique way of gathering materials for the new weapons. Kind of like how we need ambergris for Generation 3 weapons. But let's get back to the actual spoilers, as we're gonna go for a search for the last Elder Dragon thread. This kinda confused me at first, but if you remember how End of Dragons concluded, it could make sense. In Dragon's End we're extracting the Dragon Void, which we defeat during the Harvest Temple, which leads to Suwon, the Deep Sea Dragon's death, and Arene taking her place as the only remaining Elder Dragon to balance the all. Which means there is still an Elder Dragon at this moment, and maybe balancing the all isn't as simple as we thought. Whether that means we'll have to let go of Arena or not, I don't know. But a true post-Elder Dragon Theria does offer possibilities for future expansions, or games even. That's not all though, as this will be the very first time we're getting a new playable race, which is something ArenaNet was reluctant to add in the past. We'll get to create our very own Largos, which coincidentally is one of the few races in the game that currently does not have a combat or a regular tonic. I also assume their model is relatively easy to implement, since they're basically humanoids with wing-like fins. Our current expansion was the very first one that added no new elite specs, which is something that seems to be changing again. None of the names are available yet, but we already have the new icons on the website. And when inspecting them, we can see what profession they're linked to. All 9 look pretty neat, but they don't give us a lot to work with. Thieves icon is reminiscent of a pirate or a corsair, which hopefully means we get a duelist that will be less reliant on stealth. The ranger icon kinda makes me think of a crab or a fly trap, but I doubt we'll see the latter underwater. The one that caught my attention the most, however, is the necromancer. I cannot seem to shake the idea of it looking like Cthulhu, which I hope means we get to summon new minions, maybe something void related or completely from a different dimension. The one final thing that seems somewhat obvious is that the elementalist icon resembles a trident, which is in fact the only underwater weapon they can wield. But that is still not all. We're getting 3 new mounts. A dolphin who has a sonar to help us look for hidden treasures, a sea turtle to help us ride waves, which makes me think that we might not be able to use our skimmers in the unending ocean. And maybe the most unique is a Kuda, which is a seahorse that will double as a combat mount. My guess is that Bubble Blast will be the reworked version of the Skyscale's Fireball, which would let ArenaNet reskin and reuse some existing assets once again. And stick with me here, but if you rotate the Skyscale, remove the legs and wings, you kinda have the model already. As with any expansion, we're getting 3 additions. The standard includes the game and a level boost, the deluxe adds an extra skin for the Kuda, as well as the Sea Cliff Sanctuary launch pass, and an extra character slot. The ultimate edition is basically the same, but comes with 4000 gems. The one thing that seems different is that the prices of all 3 editions have gone up by $5. Whether that is due to pressure from NCSoft or simply reflects the amount of content we're getting remains to be seen. And there's actually even more stuff. We'll be able to capture a new guild hall, which is something Soto didn't allow us to do either, and seems to be in line with their latest studio update. Lastly, we're getting new cultural armors, not only for the Largos, but for every single race. Right now, we can craft the Tier 1 open world legendary armor, and Tier 2 is set to be introduced during the May update. This does make me wonder if these will be a 3rd tier that we will need to unlock, or whether they'll be standalone skins. Anyway, that's a lot to digest on April 1st of all days. No comments or questions down below or on Discord this time, just like and subscribe.